Hello! Hopefully this video is about a product that might make work that I do as a content creator a bit easier, because it is for a wireless microphone. Now if you are putting content together and starting out, one of the biggest things that is going to change the way your stuff is perceived is mostly the sound quality. Some people think you need a very special camera and an elaborate lighting system. Lights certainly help. I've got some up here. But it's the microphone. When people hear you talk and it's hissy, or it's distant, or you can hear it echoing around the walls, it just doesn't sound as good. It just sounds not great. And having a microphone is one of the easiest ways you can fix that. Now in my setup, I've got, like as mentioned, I've got my mirrorless camera here, and I've got a Rode video mic. When I'm doing voiceover work, essentially me talking over video of flying, I've got one of these blue snowball mics, which works pretty well, and I use that for podcasting as well. So in the box is a couple of microphones, and it's also got this receiver. So this receiver has a plug, so it will plug directly into my Canon mirrorless camera, as well as USB-C, so I could plug it into my computer, and Lightning, so I can plug it into my iPhone as well. So if I'm out in the field and I want to do sort of a quick talk to the camera that way, I don't have to worry about like the wind hitting the microphone and stuff. Let's have a close look at exactly what's in the box. I'll take you through it and then we can try it out. Okay, here is the box. Let's open the box and see what we have inside. Two more boxes, which you can't see because it's a white on white thing. So in this thin box we have some instructions. We have some silica gel, don't eat that. Carry bag and a USB-C cable. And in this bit of box we have the actual stuff, and this is a pretty cool box because you plug the USB in there and it charges everything in the box. That's its charge level there, and if we open up this we can see the bits we've got. I've already gone in here and taken some of the wrapping off, but these two things are the mics. You've got a little clip here. You've got noise reduction, plus and minus, and the idea is you just clip that to yourself. That's where the actual microphone is. You have got two little fluffy covers. If you're out in the wind, stick one of those on, that'll be much better. And you'll see here you've got these little contacts, and that's when we lay down on that, that will charge basically. Now this bit here is the special thing that we actually plug in. This is the receiver. As you see, it's got a 3.5mm jack which will go into a regular camera like the one I'm using here. Got an on-off button. It's got its own USB port. And a clever thing with this is it's not set to that. You've got this little tab here. We just move that backwards and then we slide. We can take that off. And if then I want to have my iPhone as a recorder, we've got this lightning plug here. And we can just slide that in and plug that straight in an iPhone, and we're off again. And as mentioned, this is the last one. This is the USB-C. Again, just slides in and you're ready to go. It's got a few other controls here. MS, I don't know if that's like a mute, and I don't know what S would be. I'll look that up in the manual. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try this out. Obviously I'm going to get this set up first on this camera. What you're hearing at the moment is me talking to my Rode mic, so I want to see the difference when I'm talking to this thing. We'll check the range, we'll go outside, we'll use this thing, and yeah, we'll try it all out, see how it works. That's pretty cool. I was just putting this back and I just noticed this bit is magnetic, so that's not going to drop off. That's pretty good. Okay, well the microphone is on. Hopefully you can hear it if I do this. So I had a few problems connecting it to my camera. I'm using a Canon EOS M3, and the only problem with it, it's got the right port, a 3.5mm jack to put in, I think they call it a TRS cable, but it had this little sort of shelf around it, and because the width of the adapter coming in, which isn't very big, for example, this thin thing won't quite fit in without catching the edge, it wouldn't go in. So what I had to do is add a little extension cable, which always makes me a little bit worried, because whenever you're attaching extra things and bits like that, I get a bit worried that it's going to damage the sound quality. But we'll see how that is, and of course I'll be checking on different devices. Now, just looking at the thing itself here, you'll notice it's got a blue light on it. More about that in a sec. The other thing it's got is it's got a gain level. At the moment it's from 1 to 6. I've got it on 3 in the middle. I tested that out, and when I first started doing it, I'd cocked it up, I'd put it on 6, and it was clipping all the time. All you have to do there is just press this blue button up and down. This is the other mic, I'm just used to that. You've also got a noise reduction thing. If I press both buttons in together, which I'll try and do on here now, you should see that the little light goes green. Now, as far as it goes here, and having a quick test of it, I haven't really noticed much difference. It's supposed to be like noise cancelling, noise reduction. I take it it's going to take out background hums and little bits and pieces. Although when I've used it in software and editors, I notice it can affect your voice as well. So I'm just going to turn that off. But it'd be interesting to see how that tests. And I haven't looked back at this yet, obviously, to work out what it's doing. I've done some test stuff to make sure I've got my levels right, but that's about it. So my intention here is to use nothing but this mic and the receiver for the sound recording from now on. I might use different cameras, but all the sound's coming just from this. So aside from speaking to this camera, where I'm using the TRS cable or the 3.5mm jack, I've also got, as mentioned, we've got the lightning adapter. So I'm going to plug that into my iPhone and see what it sounds like in there. For the little USB-C adapter, I'm going to plug that directly into my computer. I've got a Mac, Windows PC would be the same, and try and do some voiceover recording there like I'd normally do in many of my videos. And I think it's worth mentioning that although we're using the same mic and receiver here, so we should get broadly the same sound quality, everything records slightly differently. So my camera here has its own like auto setting which tries to sort of compress things, so it boosts the lows and tries to reduce the high so it doesn't clip. The iPhone has its own way of doing things. If I'm recording on the Mac, depending what package I'm using, like Audacity or directly into Final Cut Pro, that has its own way of doing things. And it's kind of normal in video editing when you're putting stuff together that you do manage your sound levels. You do have to take these up and down to try and give a sort of consistent sound or volume throughout, so it doesn't change here and there as you go to different clips. So what I'm hoping is all the clips sound broadly the same, although there might be slight differences because I'm using different things. I'm worried about this adapter cable, and different devices might record in a slightly different way, but we'll see how that works. So first off, I'm going to take my iPhone, plug it in, and I'm going to go out in the garden to see how it works outside. We'll use one of the little fluffy hats, and I use my gimbal that can follow me around, and I can see how far I can be away, go into sort of weird places, down low, up high, that sort of thing. And in theory, I should get the same sound because I'm always this far away from the microphone. Of course, the camera's further away, but that shouldn't matter. So let's go do that first. Let's go and experiment and get outside. Okay, we're outside. There's a bit of wind, so I've got the little fluffy thing going on, and I'm just using the camera to record it. You can see my iPhone here with the Hohem gimbal we had earlier, and there's the BOYA receiver on the back with the lightning cable and its official MFI connector, so it's properly known by the iPhone. So what I'm going to do is just move around the garden and see if we've got some range. Hopefully this gimbal will follow me and track me. I'm just going to put this back inside, and I'm hoping you'll still be able to hear me while I do that. And the idea here is it's about, can I walk around? Can I have the same volume? Will it matter if I go down here? Can I, point to the ground and do things? Can I just walk around using this microphone and have the same levels all over the place, even if I talk quite quietly? And what about range? Can I walk all the way over here? Can I go and do stuff over here and still be fine? Well, clearly I'm going to find out when we edit it, but one would hope so. So what I've done now is plug in via USB-C so I could try some voiceover work. I don't have a USB-C interface on my computer, so I had to use a little adapter, but I guess you'll have that. I've got a Mac, so I've got lightning connections coming out my ears, but USB-C no. I just returned from Japan. This is us flying out of Tokyo, and over there in the distance you can see the Tokyo Sky Tower, which was nice because we didn't get a chance to visit it while we were actually in Tokyo. And we flew back around the sort of Arctic Circle and went over Greenland, which made for some pretty amazing views. And this is typical of the sort of thing you might use a voiceover mic for, just to, you know, get rid of the terrible drone of the plane in this case, but, you know, a bit of an audio description of what people are seeing, which I do quite often in the videos I make. Now, if you're a regular viewer here, you'll know that I'm part of a weekly podcast called Let's Drone Out. We talk about drones and stuff in a light-hearted way. Tune in at Thursday at 8 PM on YouTube if you'd like to listen to that sort of thing. Anyway, I thought it would be a really good test of the microphone and the receiver if I used that for the podcast. Normally, I use my Blue Snowball mic, and this time I use this. And if you listen in, you'll see it did an excellent job. This is the sound as it went basically into StreamYard and then broadcast back out. So this is what you would hear if you were watching. And this is me just chatting about a plane that I crashed. If people don't know, this is a humongous glider. And I had to do lots of building and parts to do with it. And I had to drill through this carbon fiber tube in order to attach it to the main body. But the guy that gave me it, I thought the tail was fixed on, but it wasn't. So we were flying it in the Maiden. So there are 2 microphones in the pack, and you can use 2 simultaneously. I've got one here. I've got my not quite willing volunteer here to wear another one. And I suppose the idea is if you were doing a podcast and instead of having like one big mic on the table, you can do it like this. If you're interviewing someone, you can just plonk a mic on them and do stuff. And it should, I want to know what happens if there's crosstalk between me talking here and picking up in that one or not. Sophie, you should say something as well to make sure it works.
Hello.
How do you feel about this microphone?
Great. I can't even feel it's on.
Well, that's wonderful. It's very comfortable to wear. And Sophie,
Yeah.
go further away.
Why do you want me to go?
Just walk into the lounge and keep talking to me.
Hello. Hello. Check.
Hello.
Check. Hello. Check.
Hello.
Check.
Now, I haven't tested this yet, obviously, but when I get back to the editing suite, keep talking.
Hello. Check. Check.
We'll see if Sophie's comes out
Hello.
nice and is all mixed in with me.
Hello.
Come back. How did you find that exercise?
Great.
Was it too taxing?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Say goodbye, Sophie.
Bye.
Well, I think we're at the end of the test now. I tried it out in all the ways I could think of and sort of learned a bit more about it, how it works and stuff. And the footage I've taken up to now, I've gone back in the editor and I've looked at very carefully. When I looked at it on my speakers, I got one sort of set of opinions, if you like. But when I listen to headphones, I got a completely different one. And one thing I wasn't aware of is the amount of background noise I'm getting in this room. It's probably because my computer is literally here. And obviously there's a fan running there. There's bits and pieces going on. There's like 6 external drives all spinning around and stuff. And I noticed whether it's in the Rode mic or this mic, there is some background hiss, which wasn't taken away by trying to use the noise cancellation on these. Now, I have to say, I felt that using this camera, with which I had problems with, there was a slightly fuller sound I was getting from the Rode. But I'm suspicious of this cable I'm using. I had problems connecting it up, as I said. I couldn't plug it directly in. And the reason I'm suspicious of the cable is when I then looked at the footage for when I use the iPhone, especially outside, that was immaculate. It was some of the nicest sound recording I've got. And I thought that completely blew away the Rode mic in that situation. Again, the voiceover stuff was pretty good too. It was just the camera that was slightly not so good, and maybe that's because of the amount of background noise that's coming through as well. I don't know. However, overall, it makes me want to change over because purely convenience. When I'm normally using my camera up here, I'm pointing at you, I've got this thing attached to it, and you can see it has to attach underneath here. It could attach on top, but then I wouldn't be able to see the screen. So I've got this extra bracket that attaches underneath, and that means I've no longer got access to the battery compartment. I can't get into the USB to get the footage off, so I have to take the whole lot down, unscrew it all, plug it in and get the footage out. With the Boya, because it's just a single jack plug that's going in, albeit an extension right now, I can still get to USB and I can leave my camera there. I can get the battery out, I can even get the SD card out if I want to, and I can just leave it there and I'm ready to go, and that is very, very convenient. The other really convenient thing is being able to use the same microphone and just being able to plug it in. So If I'm doing a voiceover, I can use this microphone. I don't have to get the blue snowball down. If I'm doing a close-up thing, I do my close-ups sort of down on the floor, pointing the camera directly at them, sort of almost overhead. What I normally do there is I still use this, but I reverse it again and put it on the tripod, which is a lot of setup yet again. And not having to do that saves me time, and time is very precious to me. And again, being able to use my iPhone outside without, fearing the sound quality is going to be awful is very, very convenient. These open up a lot of things and a lot of time-saving stuff. So overall, I'm going to replace that cable and try and get the best quality I can there. But overall, I think it's a vastly improved setup for me. Now, there is a lot of battery life in this. You've seen that we can charge this up, and this will charge all the equipment sort of 2 times over. And in terms of what you get, now the RX unit that's obviously plugged in here will get about 6 hours off a single charge, and the TX unit about 10 hours. And of course, you've got 2 of those. If you're just on your own, you get to use them twice over. And should you think, oh, well, that's no good because the RX only gets 6 hours. What if I'm doing 20 hours worth of filming? You can plug the RX unit in via USB whilst you're still using it and recording. So that's useful. I love this box. The fact that you can charge it is brilliant. The fact that things just literally drop in magnetically and just charge is so cool. You just put it down and you drop your stuff back in and you're good to go the next time. Interestingly, just as I was filming that, my SD card on the camera filled up, and I got to basically connect it to my computer, take the footage off and delete it all without having to take my camera down, just proving the point that it's much, much more time-saving and useful for me that way. Anyway, this has been the BOYALINK all-in-one microphone kit from Boya, and many thanks to them for sending it to me. It's going to come in very useful, and you'll see it very much in the future. If you are interested in checking that out in more detail, of course, there will be product links down below. I hope you found that review helpful, and of course, any comments and questions you might ask, stick them down below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Hope that's been helpful, and I'll catch you next video. Bye for now.
Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.